This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
You can send your questions by email to eric@artmarketing.com, or you can send a video question, artmarketing.com/questions. I wish somebody would do that. Nobody's done it yet. Maybe it's not working. All right. My producer, Amandine, is going to give us our first question.
The first question is from Rhoads Harper from Georgia. I explore many galleries online and see they accept submissions virtually. How seriously do you believe those are taken? And as an emerging artist, is it professional to apply to multiple? I know the best way to get in is being invited, so is applying virtually a good option worth devoting time to? 2 different known galleries from overseas have reached out to feature my artwork, but require that I ship it. Is that the industry standard? And do you think the exposure is worth the exponential logistics? How would I verify that this is a legitimate gallery and not a scam?
All right. Well, that was a great question, John Tez. I've got some opinions on this. They're probably wrong. But first off, when galleries are saying they accept submissions online, I question that. Now, I think that there's a reason they might do it. And one of the reasons they might do it is because they're trying to keep you from calling them, emailing them, or showing up at the door. Because most of the gallery owners I know absolutely hate that. Because, if they had 100 artists show up a year and it took 10 minutes each or 20 minutes each, they'd never get anything else done. I have a gallery owner who told me that he gets 150 to 200 emails a month, and he doesn't even open them and look at them. If he can tell what it is, he gets that many or more packages unsolicited. They have to open them because they don't know what's in the packages, and then they're just throwing them away. If they're a good gallery, they have plenty of artists, and every good gallery is always looking for another. And maybe the idea of having submissions is good, but most of it's probably just to kind of make you not call or email. I will tell you that there are a lot of galleries out there that operate differently. They have a different model. A lot of galleries most of the galleries operate on a consignment model where they pick artists, invite them in, and they keep a certain percentage of the work in exchange for selling it. For instance, a standard for a lot of galleries is they keep 50% of the markup price, which is legitimate because they're doing all the heavy lifting, the working, the marketing, the lighting, the salespeople, the phone calls, everything that goes with it. They're earning their keep usually, not always, but there are galleries out there that will look for artists that they can prey upon. And prey upon they do. We have one particular gallery, no names, who every time an artist appears in our magazine, in a story, in an ad, anything, they pick up the phone and they say, "We want you in a special gallery show in our gallery." And the artist gets all excited. And then next thing you know, they're saying, "Well, it's only this much money to be able to do that." And some of them do it, and some of them have given us feedback that it hasn't been terribly productive. Usually if somebody's going to do a show of your work, they're going to do a show of your work because you're already fairly established. You have a brand. Branding has a lot to do with everything. And, it's like nobody really wants a brand new startup artist. I know you don't want to hear that because it's easier to sell somebody who's established. Now, once in a while, they'll take a chance and they, legitimate galleries do that too, but there's got to be some good indicators of success, I believe, for that to happen. So I think, there's a lot of different things. Now, you asked a question about shipping overseas. First off, how do you know it's a legitimate gallery? I got a call or an email from somebody one time. This was not about my artwork, but they said, "Yeah, we want you to be an influencer on Instagram. You've got all these followers, and we're going to pay you for doing some ads." And I kept saying no to everybody. I get 10 of those a month. And for some reason, this guy got my attention. He got me on the phone. He did a pitch. He showed me a website. It was very, very in depth. It was very credible. And I ended up signing with him, so to speak, turning over control of my account right then and there so they could do the first thing. And they took it over and took it away from me. Luckily, because I spend $250,000 a year or more in Facebook at that time, I was able to get to Facebook and get their attention and get my account back real quickly. But, there are galleries out there, there are people out there contact you all the time that are going to say, hey, it's my wife's anniversary and I want to buy something nice. I saw your art. And then, they'll legitimately pretend to be buying it. You ship it out, but, the check doesn't clear, et cetera. And there are galleries out there who would do the same thing. I want to put you in my gallery. They might have a fake website, and then you ship them a painting. Well, my question is, do you need it hanging in the gallery? You're going to sell it online? Are you going to feature it? I would legitimately look into a gallery. How do you look into a gallery? First off, Google search it, ask around, look for reviews, look for the artists that are in the gallery, and find out if any of those artists happen to be willing to talk to you and tell you if it's legit. Did they get paid? Are they selling work, et cetera? So there's a lot of things like that you need to be watching out for. You can submit artwork to anybody, and I don't want to discourage everything. I just think it's best to get invited, because then you're not begging, and then you're in a strong position, but also because the gallery really truly wants you, they're going to work hard to sell you. If you're pushing yourself on somebody, they may or may not push you on somebody else to try and get you to sell. So there's a lot of little nuances to it all. I'm sure there's exceptions to every every situation. So anyway, that's kind of the gallery thing. Next question.
The next question is from Lydia from Burke, Virginia. The questions that most frequently comes up, especially with new artists, is how do you decide how to price your art?
Lydia, it's the biggest question everybody asks. It's the hardest thing to answer. I don't know. I mean, I have some feel for it. I've done it. I have coached people. Some of it has succeeded. Some of it is not. Pricing is all over the map. First off, pricing is a mental issue. What you have in your head as your value is your beginning point. And some of you have an inflated value in your head that's unrealistic, and some of you have a value in your head that's too low. So you got to be thinking about that. Everybody has to start somewhere. Usually you start modestly. If it sells, you sell some more, and you start building a collector base and you grow it. That's what galleries are really good at. A good gallery will answer the question for you, because they're going to say, here's what I think I can get for this. Now, I had a gallery who I believed, how can I say this without getting into trouble? I believe they were underpricing my work, and I wanted to be more expensive, and they would not agree to it. I was able to prove to them that I could get that amount of money and sell the painting at a higher price, and that convinced them. But ultimately, they got to believe it if they're going to sell it. So that has a lot to do with it. But pricing, if you got a good gallery, trust the gallery. If you're selling direct, then, there's a lot of different things. First off, research comparable artworks. Now, the problem with that, of course, is what's comparable. Is an 8x10 painting by Richard Schmid comparable? No. Why? Because it's by Richard Schmid, right? So before pricing your work, research similar works in your genre, your style, see what people are getting for it, check the prices. Some subject matters sell better than others. I know that seems crazy, but it's true. Similar things, look for things that have sold. Find artists who are equivalent to you, be realistic, and see what they're selling for. And then study, do they have a big brand or not? Are they promoting themselves heavily? And because brand makes all the difference in pricing. Why is a Bentley a whole lot more money than a BMW, right? Well, it's a perception issue mostly. You're going to say it's quality, and there is some difference, But the reality is, back when I studied this, it's been a few years, but back when I studied it, the difference to build BMW versus a Bentley on the same chassis was $20,000 difference, but the price differentiation was $100,000 or $200,000 more. So, it's about perception, a perception of a lot of things, elegance and so on. So consider your experience, your reputation, your brand. That has to be factored into your pricing. If you're well known, that's one thing. If you're emerging, that's another. It's more appropriate to start with a lower price. More experienced artists are more likely to get bigger prices. But I got to tell you, I know experienced artists who are brilliant painters who have not kept their brand alive and can't get the prices they used to get. And they don't understand that. One guy called me, said, Eric, why is my painting not selling anymore? I said, well, are you doing the things that made you successful? He said, yeah, I'm doing them all. I said, have you done any shows in the last 5 years? No, I haven't done those. They're a hassle. I said, have you advertised in the last 5 years? He said, no, everybody knows who I am. I said, really? Well, 10% of the people, there's attrition every year. 10% of the people who know you don't know you in a year. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, nobody knows you. 5 years from now, half of the people that knew you don't know you anymore. And you wonder why your work's not selling, because you're not advertising. You're not promoting yourself. You're resting on your past, your laurels. You've also got to factor in things like the production cost, the cost of the canvas, the materials, the frame, the time. Calculate how much money that went into each piece. And, I know an artist who gets a very large price for his money. And when I ask how he gets it, he said, well, I factored in, I could do this many paintings a year, and this is how much money I need. I divided it equally. I could do this many paintings. And so that's how he set his price. It works for some people, but he also had a big brand. And so he's getting, $100,000, $200,000 for pieces. Also, you got to factor in the price per inch. There's ways you can figure that out. But you've got to have realistic prices. And prices are all very emotional. Every decision and purchases are emotional. And sometimes a low price equates to low quality. And I've told this story on here many times about a woman who came to an art show. She said, how much is the painting? The artist said $4,000. She said, I'll take it. She writes him a check for $40,000. He says, no, ma'am, that's $4,000, not 40. And she ripped up the check, said it must not be any good. So price does have an impact on perception. You increase your prices over time. If you study pricing, there's some great books on pricing. If you study how companies launch products, some people launch products at a high price, and if it doesn't sell, they back off until it does sell, and that becomes their price. Others start it low, and if it sells too easily, they move it up faster and up and up and up. So there's a lot of different things. It's experimentation, it's practice. You've got to communicate value when pricing your work. You've got to communicate the value, the uniqueness of the piece, the time that went into it, the value of your brand, etc. And I know painters who will charge more for one 9x12 painting than another 9x12 painting, because this one took them 2 hours or 4 hours, and this one took them 60 hours. So, it just kind of depends. And of course, you have the opportunity in some cases to negotiate with buyers. And negotiation is a really great fluid tool, because if they want to buy something from you, but truly the price is too high, I start by saying, hey, that's the price. I'm sorry. And if sometimes they'll say, okay, and sometimes they'll walk away. And, you might be able, if you're willing, you can say, okay, well, what would you be willing to pay? And then you try to find a middle ground, something that works for everybody. Don't forget that pricing is emotional. Now, the other thing I want to just tell you, this is not about pricing, but it's about average sale price. And that is McDonald's, you drive through the drive-through. What do they always say? Do you want fries with that? Right? And why do they say that? Because they know if they can get everybody who drives through to buy fries or to upsell to a different package, they're going to make more money on it. So when you sell a painting, it's the best time to get another painting sold, because somebody's into you, they're into your painting. And you can easily say, if it's true to you, you can say, hey, you bought this painting. I have a rule that because anybody buys a painting from me, they'll buy the second and third painting at a 20% discount. Here are two. Would you be interested in these? Or pick one of these five. And oftentimes you'll have an upsell, and that's an opportunity. Anyway, that is the Art Marketing Minute.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.